Hey everyone, welcome to Collector Chatter. This is episode 58. I'm your host, Migs, here with my co-host Charlie, as always. And in today's episode, we're going to wrap up the Funko Fair announcements. We're also going to talk about some awesome NFTs that'll be coming out. And Funko has raised their prices again. So we're going to get into that.
And you know the drill. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any other podcast platforms, please make sure you're following us. And on Spotify, interact us with those questions. And then if you're on YouTube, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. You're liking the videos, you're shooting us some comments, and you're hitting that notification bell so you know when new videos are coming out. And also make sure you check us out over at Collector Chatter on Instagram. All right, with that being said, let's chat.
All right, let's chat, guys. Like we said in that intro, episode 58. This is going to wrap up the Funko Fair announcements. We talked about it last time, and every week we've been talking about it, that they spread this out for 3 weeks, basically. And every one day during the week, they've been announcing more stuff that's part of this like Funko Fair, which isn't even like an event. It's just like a way for them to announce like a bunch of stuff that's going to be coming out. Yeah, stuff that's like technically you can find right now and stuff that's going to be coming out later. Like who knows? But we'll go through those because there was some more awesome stuff that was definitely announced. A little bit smaller amount of things this time around compared to the last couple of weeks that we've been talking about them. We did want to go back into a little bit more other drops and stuff that came out. Obviously, some NFT news, which is pretty sick, with the new drop that's going to be coming out, and maybe talking about the last drop and how we did. And then we really want to get into an awesome topic that, it's not even awesome, but it's something unfortunately we have to talk about. And it is kind of what's going on with Funko and their price increases and with everything that's going on in the economy. Sorry, I know it's like kind of tied to that, but we'll kind of give you our thoughts on everything that has to go with that. But let's start off with the Funko Fair stuff like we've been doing. I'll let you start it off because one of the first ones that was announced, I'm sure, is something that you got extremely excited about. And no, it is not a Disney 100 announcement, because every single time there has been, and this time there was actually no Disney 100 announcements
at all.
So
Which I was
what's
a little
next in
surprised
line,
about.
though? Yeah, definitely. But you can
You're
still talk
setting me
about
up. Next in
your
line, yeah, I mean, I'm too excited. I got to talk about is new Star Wars pops for the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. This is another sweet set. I mean, there's so many of iconic moments. We got a new Wicket, we got some Leia, we C-3PO. My favorite of probably the common line is Vader when he's like redeemed with his mask off, laying on the ground. I mean, that is sick. I know we have an older pop with him with his mask off, but like this is legitimately like how he looks when that happens. That's like a must for me. The Luke Skywalker one is awesome. And then I'll say the exclusive store ones were straight up fire. I love the hologram of Luke Skywalker. We don't have, I had to pre-order that one immediately. I normally do not pre-order stuff from Entertainment Earth, but this one is sick.
Yeah, it's exclusive to
It's
Entertainment Earth,
exclusive.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Then we got Emperor sitting on the throne from Hot Topic, which we'll talk about. I'm going to talk about a little bit of something that's special about that pop for everyone. We got another Ewok GameStop exclusive, which is sick. They have like Stormtrooper helmets on like the bottom of it, which is super cool. Got a Vader keychain, which is totally random because we didn't get one normal Vader pop. Maybe they finally realized that, like, even though Vader's
all
the
the
man,
same.
they're all the same. Yes. And then we got another Max Rebo pop, which is awesome. We already have one of him, like, not, I mean, it's not like new, but it's not that old either, which is Specialty Series. I thought it was interesting that we got this one. I would have liked to have seen them have like a build a scene of the cantina, which it doesn't look like that's what this is, but it's still a cool pop. Then we got though a deluxe pop of Jabba the Hutt, which is super detailed. I love it. And that one's super sick. And then we got the battle between father and son, Return of the Jedi, so Luke and Vader, which is super sick. And to go back to the Emperor one, they said that this was designed that you can put this pop in the back of the scene where he is in that scene in the movie. Did you read about that?
No. Oh, so it's that big, like from front to back that you can fit.
I
Another
guess
pop
so.
back
It
there?
actually came from that designer who was unfortunately fired from Funko. He put it on his Twitter.
Okay.
Uh, it's not like Funko is saying this at all, but it's interesting in my opinion because if I was Funko, I probably would because this is this is such a weird pop to me. I think this is awesome. I would have bought it either way, but like now this is kind of a money grab. They're saying you can build the scene that he should have just been in that pop. That should have been the Emperor. It should have been Vader, and it should have been Luke all in one.
Mhm.
You shouldn't have had to have bought him separately. And they're like at saying that you can put him in the scene. It's interesting. It's cool, but it's
Yeah.
also weird at the same time why
Well,
they did that.
yeah, it's interesting in the sense of like, is that like the space is there? Like that's kind of you wouldn't think of it, but I do kind of like the idea where we have other like deluxe style pops where it's like
Yeah,
a moment or a scene, whatever. And correct me if I'm wrong, but none of those you can remove the pops, right? They're like kind of in
correct.
this thing, right?
This is quote
So
unquote like an Easter egg, I guess, type thing.
well, because what I was gonna say is it's kind of cool that you can like place something in there that could be removed and in a scene rather than like just the standalone ones that are in there. So it's actually kind of cool, but it's a little weird that like it's not just part of it. Like you said, I think it is
Because then he's
kind of
gonna
just
have
like
the base on him, the Star Wars base,
yes,
which
that's the only thing
just
is that the other ones don't because the base goes on the entire thing.
yeah,
But
which
I did want to say on that the exclusive like slide that had most of the ones that were exclusive. What I did kind of cool was like obviously the Emperor one and like pretty much all of them except for the Luke one. Like it's cool that they're not just the pops. They're kind of like in
you're
something or
right. I didn't really look at it that
they're
way.
all like a like more than just a pop and it did it like with a few of them, which is pretty cool. So like at first when I saw them like announcing them little by little, I was like, is this going to be part of a line where they're all these like like almost like moments, but they're not. They're just an individual pop with more than just the pop, which is kind of cool because usually you just see like just a plain 4-inch pop,
Yep.
which like the first wave that they showed of like C3PO and all the other ones and stuff. So still pretty cool. But yeah, it's an awesome one. I agree that glow one is like really sick. The holograph that one's awesome, and all the ones they've made and the glow of that, like that color paint job, whatever they do,
Is
the glow
awesome.
on it is always so good. Like all the ones they've released, that 3-pack was like ridiculous. Like the glow is so cool in that.
And they
Um,
got Luke's hair right. Like it's such a very small
yeah.
detail, but that is like what his hair looks like in that movie. Which it doesn't necessarily always look like that on the pops from Return of the Jedi. Not that
What?
there's many, but
So right away I was like, yeah, his hair's so cool and all of them, right? But when you said it, I started to look at it, and this is like a stupid little thing, but do you notice that the one that's regular color, his part
it's
is
on the
in the
opposite side.
opposite side. I just noticed
I
that.
did it until you just said that. That's
And that's
hilarious.
kind of like a something's messed up there because clearly it's probably on only on one side. So it's
Correct.
like it's not going to be a mirrored version. So it's interesting. There's a little mess up. Maybe it's because the good designers are fired. So whoever these guys were.
It's so funny you say that because that was another thing. People were really giving credit to the designer who was like, you know what, like you're in such good spirits. You're letting the fans know this like Easter egg with these pops. And he kind of was just like, I loved working on these. It's my favorite license. Like I'm not gonna be bitter. Which
Hmm.
he took the high ground, which I thought was really cool.
That's cool.
And
That's
then
cool.
to close out the Star Wars, wouldn't be without a build a scene. We're
Yeah.
getting the skiff from Return of the Jedi, which this is worthy of a build a scene, in my opinion. This is super cool. This has always been it's a fan favorite scene. It's also been even like I remember they did like uh when Hasbro does like their version of crowd sourcing for like if people want things to be made, they like did this to make like a Black Series huge one. Like it's cool, but there's a few things that I don't like about it, which I want to say, even though I will get it. It's so weird that you see the Star Wars logo on the bottom of every single one. I know it's because they're separately and they probably legally
Hmm.
have to do that, but it
Hmm.
looks super weird when you build it.
Looks terrible when you do it. Like it looks almost like they're like tractor wheels. Like
Yeah,
when you look at it real quick.
it looks weird. And then the other thing, which I've pointed this out on multiple episodes of Collector Chatter, is where are the Han Pops? We haven't gotten Han Pops in forever. He has to be in this build a scene though. If he's not, you will finally know that there's something up with Harrison Ford not
with
wanting.
him actually, yeah.
Even though Indiana Jones Pops are supposedly coming out, which I'm wondering if like they had to re-up the deal with Lucasfilm for his likeness. I just find it super weird. We now have two anniversary lines where we had the New Hope ones for like Star Wars Celebration, no Han Solo pops, and now no Han Solo pops for Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
It's
Unless he's
strange.
part of this, like you said.
Yeah, which he has to be, or it's like I mean, it's makes no sense. He is
So
rescued on this ship with Luke
so
Skywalker from Boba Fett.
this ship was cool is like so they obviously have had multiple of these build a scenes and like Star Wars itself and Marvel does it a lot and that kind of thing. But a lot of the times there you can individually just get a pop and kind of get away with it. I feel like with
Yes,
this line you can't.
you
Like
can. I
it's
agree.
gonna look so weird. Like the Luke one, for instance. Like they just look. You can't have just one thing with like a little bar hanging on the side, and like it's part of something else. So obviously, it's like uh, they're kind of almost making you have to get them all if you're gonna get one of them.
Yeah,
So like, yeah. But I guess we'll see whether and they've been doing this with the Funko Fair where they're doing these releases of these like build the scenes little by little. So it's kind of like, well, we'll see what the rest of them look like, that kind of thing.
I know.
But
I wish they've leaked by now. I mean, it's kind of obvious. One will be Boba Fett, one will be Lando, but it's just. I mean, Han's got to be one.
yeah,
I
we'll
just
see.
don't know how it's not. So it'll be interesting.
But yeah, so awesome stuff definitely from Star Wars. Don't think there was any other announcement Star Wars wise in the last 2 weeks, right? So this is
No,
like
there's
the
been
first time we
absolutely
got
nothing.
something really
Yep. Oh, we got
besides
the
the
fake
soda.
soda. Yeah.
Yeah, the Padme soda, which was already something that's been out or announced. Um, the next pretty big wave here, and I thought this one was really cool. We got some WWE pops, and they continue to do this, and we talk about it every single time that there's a WWE drop because they do it every single time that there's a pretty big wave of drops. Is that they have brand new wrestlers and then they have old school classic
It's
wrestlers,
sick. It's
and they do it
amazing.
every single time. Like they don't just stick to one or the other, and it's completely awesome because it hits all fan bases. I guess maybe when it comes to wrestling specifically, a lot of people, even though they're fans of new ones, are also fans of the classic stuff. So it kind of like ties into that. Um, but we are getting some more. Some of these I don't know like exactly who like the wrestlers are. I know is it Steamboat, Ricky Steamboat? I think is the one with the big like crazy
I think so.
headpiece.
Yep.
I don't know what the two like female other ones are. Like I don't know the names. I
I
mean,
don't
we'll pop
either.
it up here. Like I'm not like a big, like I said, newer fan of wrestling. But then the next ones we got some classic the Rock ones,
Dude,
Dwayne
that's all
Johnson,
that matters. Amazing.
which that thing is so sick. Like his outfit is amazing. Like where he had that little piece with the phrase like
It's
down.
before
His
he was The
hair is
Rock.
yeah, this is well Dwayne Johnson basically, right? Or was he Rocky or something he
He
used to
was
go by or
Rocky
something?
Maivia or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
So like his hair is awesome. And then there's a Funko Shop exclusive metallic one, which I like the metallic one. I think the colors are cool. I don't think they needed both though. Like I think we could just went with just a metallic one, if anything.
I agree.
And then we have is that Ric Flair? No, that's oh my God, who's the guy in the middle? And
I'm
I'm
not
like trying to
sure.
like I don't know if it's Dusty Rhodes maybe or something like that. It looks something like that. Again, we're like kind of old school wrestling fans, but I'm not like the biggest fan of every single one. I know the next one is Ted DiBiase, I believe, Million
Yep.
Dollar Man. That one is a GameStop exclusive, and then there's a Chase, which
Just
is a
cool.
diamond, just like a different color variant, basically to that one. And then the last one, which I thought was really cool, is a WrestleMania. And this looks like it's the first line like this. And it's actually under Pop WWE covers, is like what the line is called. Same
Interesting. I didn't
size
notice
as
that.
like the VHS covers and the movie, like all those style ones. The picture that's in the background is obviously from WrestleMania, where it was Hulk Hogan against Mr. T. However, what's interesting about this is Target exclusive. You can get individually each one. So you got one that has just Hulk Hogan, and then you have one with Mr. T. So it's kind of like a two-piece set because Hulk Hogan's number one and Mr. T's number two. So they are technically different ones, but they're both from the same WrestleMania. Because it's obviously from like that match. So and
I don't
what's
like
cool about
that.
it. Yeah, I was gonna say like
Continue your
what's cool
saying.
about it. Well, I was just gonna say what's cool about it is like it says like the day you're getting like that it was a big event, that WrestleMania. But I do agree that like it's weird that they have two separate ones and it's the same background, so it's just the pop that's changing. Like I kind of get it, but at the same time, like I get that they wouldn't probably put both pops in there because then they haven't made any of these pops like that with like multiple figures really.
Oh,
Because these seem are probably like the smaller VHS size ones, but kind of is like a money grab because it's like now you want to get both of them, or maybe you
yeah.
just choose one over the other. But yeah, I
I
don't know. What do
love
you
the
think?
idea of like the concept and like if they do this for like every WrestleMania and looks like the main event per them. I don't know if that's what they're like going to be going for with this, but
Yeah.
they could have found a way to fit both of them in there, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean WWE covers is what it's called. So like it's almost like it's like the magazine or something, and like these are the main guys. Like that's kind of like what they're going with. But I mean, it's cool. I don't love it. It's like, was it necessary? Maybe not. I mean, they've already had the WrestleMania rings with the different types of WrestleMania names on the side
Yep.
with like the figures inside. So we don't really need like this, I guess you could say. It's just kind of an extra thing. Um, but yeah, that was the rest of the stuff. Then we had some new stuff. This
Yeah.
is something I don't think I ever seen or thought they would do something like this. I don't know if you've ever seen this be leaked or anything, but this was
No,
kind of out of nowhere when I saw it.
not leaked at all. So what Miggs is alluding to is they came out with like candy holders essentially that look like pops of different characters. They're
Hmm.
definitely starting off with like their OG DC stuff. So we got a Batman, a Joker, and a Wonder Woman. The Joker one's super weird though, in my opinion. Like it doesn't really look like him.
Yeah, it does look weird.
It looks weird. We got
I
Care
think because his
Bears.
hands are down are weird. You always see the Joker with his arm up with like the card.
Yeah. We got Care Bears, but then I think I'll get this one to get one for my collection and call it a day. Is the Freddy Funko one? It's cool,
Hmm.
in my opinion. Um, I agree. I never would have like thought this was coming, but then at the same time, like I'm not surprised. They definitely like to get their hands in like the nostalgic type candy. Like it definitely reminds like probably, you know, Brian and Mike of being a kid, and this was just like stuff that they liked.
Yeah, like
Um,
when they got into Pez and everything.
the Pez, the cereal,
Hmm.
um, before what we know as Funko sodas when they made like the soda pop that was like actual soda. So it was only a matter of time before they made candy.
Yeah,
But
and it's literally named Pop Candy.
yeah.
That's the line. That's at the bottom. It has a little pop logo saying candy.
And like
Um,
I
it's
know
interesting.
yeah, like I know some people in the community are probably gonna be like, this is so dumb. I like that they do this type of thing and like I mean, do we need a million of these going down like it's a new line? No, but it's super I think it's cool and I think it's just a new product category for them. Like they're trying to do that and I don't blame them for it.
So there's two, well, a couple of things, but it was like something I wanted to say. So one, as I was reading it, they basically like in Funko's actual description, it says like it's a perfect Easter gift. So like that's
Oh,
like the like what they're going towards. I'm assuming this one is going to come out and it's going to be like, the
the
same thing
jelly
how they have
beans.
same thing how they have some Valentine style things, for Valentine's with candy and stuff. So it's like probably going to fit that part. Um but seeing through comments and what people have been saying, like it's true. Like if you're a collector, you'll get this. Looks cool. Are you gonna open it and eat the candy? And if you do, a clear little thing may not look as cool. Like once it's emptied, it may look
Yeah.
kind of weird. Like you won't really be able to see the figure necessarily, that kind of thing. So like that's interesting. And most like of us that don't open our boxes and stuff like that, we probably wouldn't open it just to have it. But like for what it is, it's obviously supposed to be candy and supposed to be eaten. But it's going to be interesting, like what people do with these, like when they come out. And then the second thing I want to say is, I wonder what the size is going to be. Like, is this
I
going to be
agree.
the same size of a Funko Pop, or is these going to be like really small, like more like a soda or something? Like, I guess we'll see when we get like them, people holding them, or get to see like what's going to be going on. But it's cool. Like I don't hate it. I think the Freddy Funko one and the Batman one are probably the two coolest ones. The Joker, I agree. I love the Joker, but I think it just looks weird. The Wonder Woman one also looks very weird, and not a big Care Bears fan enough to want to get those either. But I wonder if they're gonna do like more lines like this, or like I could see this being like the Popsy line,
Yep.
where it's like just something that they do make a bunch of different versions of them, and you see them in like the front of like a Target before you check out, like that kind of thing, like with candy and other stuff. So interesting, definitely. But let us know what you guys think, because I want to see
Yeah.
what like the community is thinking of these in general, because it seems like it's kind of like a mixed review based off of some stuff that I'm reading. But some interesting things will be like, what's it going to look like? Size? Are people going to eat this? Are they just going to keep them? Not.
It's so true.
But it is interesting. Um, Next up, we had a couple Marvel, specifically some Wanda stuff. So we did have this was an Entertainment Earth exclusive as well, which they have been dropping a lot of stuff. This is the glow in the dark one of her from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Of course, this was like a pretty big scene when there's like after a fight and she was all busted and blood is coming down her face. I feel like I knew that this was gonna come out. Like, did
I
they
think
like
there's a
leak
rumor
this or
about it.
something, or a
I
rumor at some point?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I when I saw it, I was like kind of surprised that it wasn't already out, I guess. Which she's got, her red eyes and her hands are like kind of glowing. So the glow in the dark part's obviously gonna be really cool. She lends really well to a lot of glow pops. They've made a few versions of her. Then we're getting her, but in the Civil War type, where this is part of that build a scene, which we have kind of gone back and forth on. This is now the fifth one of the 12 that has been announced. Again, these seem more like just shapes that happen to fit together to make
Yep.
this scene versus actually like building it. She is kind of raised up, so now we are kind of getting some movement, not just a pop just standing like we were talking about. Hopefully getting Spider-Man looking a little
I
cooler
feel
when
like we
he's
definitely
he's in
has to
there.
be now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming Iron Man's gonna be like in a really cool pose, I'm sure. So it is cool that we're getting more of these just to kind of see them again. I'm not gonna really get any of these. There's too many of them to want to really collect them. But it is an Amazon exclusive, and it's just another one to add to that list.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired of like at this point, I feel like we didn't need this Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness pop. It's just funny. As a Marvel fan and collector, I am getting a little tired of them constantly just like coming out with stuff. That line was huge. And
Yeah,
it's like now we're getting this one special. It's not like the pops people want from this movie are the Illuminati, who we haven't even gotten yet. And it's just like they're not doing Marvel good anymore. I'm like saying this right now in my mind, like on right live
yeah.
here right now. Like they're they're not like I'm looking at what they're doing for Star Wars. I think they're crushing Star Wars right now. They're not doing good Marvel anymore.
Yeah.
Like it upsets me actually. I think
And
they're
they,
just
and they have
oversaturated it.
yeah, they have continued to go back to a lot of older movies, and just kind of like a one-off pop will come out, or a big wave again, or like, this build a scene of Civil War. And it is a little like, do we need it? Like, is it really necessary? And we're going to talk about something that kind of is part of this later on, but it just like continues to show you that they're almost like overdoing certain things, and this is part of that. I would say that falls
Yeah,
in there is the Marvel lines.
I
But
agree.
yeah, I don't know.
So the
Good.
next thing we got, which I find me super interesting. So we're getting Willow, which this clearly shows it's not just a Star Wars rule, it's a Lucasfilm rule that you need these bases. Because
Okay,
there's
because I was gonna say these are very similar to those,
so
and
yeah,
I
this
didn't realize
is
the
yeah,
connection. So
it's a Lucasfilm. George Lucas was part of this Lucasfilm movie. They actually just recently came out with the sequel, like series on Disney Plus. But I'm talking about this
So
is like
this is the movie. This
this
isn't
is from the movie.
the series. Okay, okay,
Yes, this is
gotcha.
from the original movie, which is interesting that they didn't make stuff for the series now. And I think this is the first Willow Pops we're getting. And this series didn't do too well. Like I didn't like someone who's just like a George Lucas stan. Like I didn't even really watch this show. I know he's not involved with it, but it just I heard it wasn't that good. I don't
Yeah,
think anyone's really gonna want these. It's a cult
yeah,
type
very
classic
very
movie.
niche specific people. I'm sure.
I think they look super cool,
Yeah.
but the moral of the story, like that I was saying, was like is interesting to me because there's obviously most people just when you think of Lucasfilm, it's only Star Wars. But we do have Indiana Jones, obviously. But the Indiana Jones pops, it's interesting. I have all the Indiana Jones pops, but they're Disney Parks pops.
All of them.
Yeah, all of them. They're only ever been Disney Parks pops. So I'm curious. There's been leaks and rumors. We know we're getting them for the Dial of Destiny, the new Indiana Jones movie. Well, they have bases on. This leads me to believe they will. It's a
Hmm,
Lucasfilm movie.
that's interesting.
It's just
Because when
interesting.
I saw these, I kind of thought that like it just like I don't know if because we've seen the Star Wars ones so long and they've made different versions of them and the way that they look that we like, oh, that's so cool. But I almost feel like these look awful. Like they didn't need. I mean, obviously it's based off of whatever he wants, but like to me, it's like they didn't need them. Like, but maybe that's a thing
Yeah,
because it's just like for it to say like Willow, because like Star Wars to me is obviously the name of the franchise,
yep.
but the Star Wars, seeing Star Wars is also like a brand logo.
Yeah, it means something, not just some
Willow is literally just a name,
of the movie.
like to me. So it's like it just doesn't look like it would fit that type of thing. But I mean, obviously, if that's the way they're going to be making them, it's interesting. But yeah, for sure, I'm pretty sure these are the first ones. I don't think these exist like
No,
in the past. I don't think
they
they've ever made
definitely
these.
don't exist. I mean, fun fact. I mean, some people who listen may know, but so the main guy, when the image pops up, he is this Warwick Davis. He's who plays Wicket in Star Wars. So
Mm,
he, Lucas George Lucas kind of made a relationship with him, which is
they
cool.
keep using them, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, but they look cool and they do look like the characters like him for sure. Like he
yeah,
looked just like him. Um, But next up, we have another new line, a new series. This is an FX show. This is What We Do in the Shadows, which supposedly I hear great stuff. Like it's supposed to be an awesome show. I never watched it. I don't know too much about it. So again, I don't know the names of some of these characters, but I know we're getting like a vampire looking character, we're getting two other guys. We're getting one of the girls and another, again, I don't know many of these people, but what is interesting, we're getting the 5 different individual ones. And then, what Walmart loves doing is packing them all into one pack and saying it's their, Walmart exclusive. And it says glow in the dark. So I'm assuming all of them glow in the dark,
yeah.
which is
So
kind of cool if that's the
they're
case. Because
actually making it different,
yeah,
which
which is
normally
actually
they
kind of
don't.
cool. Yeah. So it's not just one or whatever. It seems like it's pretty much all of them. Um, but again, I don't know anything about this. If you're a fan of the show, I'm sure this is a kind of a cool thing that we're getting this. If I'm not wrong, I believe is this the first FX show or series that they've had in Funko, or do they make?
No, I mean I know I have Sons of Anarchy just off the top of my
Oh,
head.
okay, okay, yeah. Well, yeah, I did too as well. I forgot that was FX.
I not in a while. It's funny that they made these like because I'm surprised you don't know much. You know this is based off of a movie, right?
No, I didn't
It's
know that.
so it's Taika Waititi's movie. It's probably the first thing that kind of made him like quote unquote like not necessarily famous, but people were starting to be like this guy is like a thing. And then they kind of just made like an Americanized television series based off the movie. It's like a horror comedy.
Yeah,
You would
I know,
like it.
like, yeah, I know, like, what it's about, and
Okay.
like I said, I know I've heard it was funny, but also good. I've been told by people, "Oh, check this out, whatever," and it was just like something I never really
Yeah.
like just came across to like actually put time into it. I could, maybe see myself trying it out because I probably would like it, but I don't know anything about it. So like when I saw
Yeah.
the dude was coming out, I was like, yeah, I don't know the characters, but it is cool that they're doing that. Like it's actually
Yeah.
like
I think it's cool they made
pretty
them.
pretty pretty cool idea.
So the next thing they announced is definitely, I don't think something people are asking for. Jimi Hendrix blacklight gold
Dude.
figure. I'm sorry.
Not at all.
This is just, oh, I'm surprised they haven't at this point taken this line behind the shed and
Yeah.
let it or take it
So
to the train station.
so I have like multiple things about this. So like we've kind of talked about it before, like they really overdo the Jimi Hendrix and like just really coming out with more and more versions of him and different pops. And then they came out with the soda. And like now they put him in gold. And I think he already exists in
He
gold,
does.
like a normal version. Um, Blacklight has always kind of been something too that they're like, oh, well, I guess because it's like, back in psychedelic days and how he was. And we all, if you
Which
know
I'm cool with.
Jimi Hendrix, you obviously know. So, like, yeah, that was cool because when the Pops came out, which I have them both back
Those are
here
cool.
actually, I have both of them, and I thought they were awesome because I was like, this fits it. It's pretty cool. I think it's just the I don't know. I think it's just the gold thing because it just like shocks me that they're still releasing this line, and I don't think it really sells it. You always see it sitting on like the site, you see it on shelves, you see chases and everything all the time of a lot of these, and like I don't know if they just make so many and they do sell, and maybe they're just making a profit off of them that we don't think they are. But to me, I
There's
just
no
feel like
way.
it's a line that shouldn't be around. But we are we have been wrong about this line because it's still kicking and they're still adding to it, not aggressively, like they kind of just randomly will come out with one here and there. But I don't know. It's just like
It's
it's a
weird.
weird one. And it's also just a 5-inch version. I've come to realize that like if I ever wanted to get another one ever again and it was a character that I'm like, that is so sick, I would only get the 12 or 13, whatever they call it, version.
Yeah,
Because the 5-inch ones are almost like
they're
too
so small.
small. But they're not as small as a soda, but it's just like different. Like they're very thin and they're small. The box is terrible. You can't stand it. So if you wanted to take them out, now you have these tiny little figures. Unless you have a nice display to really put like action figure style shapes. Otherwise, the big ones are cool because it's like a desk piece or something to like put up on a big shelf or something. That would be cool. Because I've almost contemplated getting the uh, Deion Sanders. They came out with the big version and a small one, and I love Dion, but I was like, I'm not gonna get the small one. I was like, that thing just sits somewhere. Like I can't like show that off. And this is one of the small ones, so it's kind of like double reason why I don't like it. But
It's just so funny with this line because the reason I really know it's a terrible line is because I'm not naive anymore. I know Zach Wilson's garbage, and Zach Wilson will be the only NFL player to only make it in gold and never make it into a pop form. So
yeah,
that's how you know it's garbage. And with that being said,
it's
I
so
will.
funny that they came out with that one. I remember
Yep, and I have
you
it,
didn't
which
get it, did you? Oh, you
I
did get it.
did. Yeah,
The small is it only in the small size?
they make the big one too. I
Uh,
got the big one, not the small one.
oh, you did.
Yeah, but at
Is
this
that the
point,
only one you
it's
have?
yeah, at this point, it's garbage.
It's the
uh,
only one you have. That's
only
hilarious.
one I have. So I mean, unless they finally come out with those MLB ones, maybe I'll get a gold. But it looks like
Yeah.
I will probably have like no gold in my entire Funko collection, which is kind of crazy.
I only got that initial wave of like the wrappers and it's like the biggie and the bigger version of the biggie and then a couple of the small ones and never again. I just don't choose to, go after them. Even if I see them at like Walmart or whatever, I'm just like, it's just not something that I
Yeah.
need or I want. So
But the rest of the music line, like, not necessarily something I want for my collection, but that they announced was pretty cool. We got a Cyndi Lauper pop, which I is this the first time she's been in pop form?
I could have swore they had another one, but I don't know. I mean, this one looks awesome though. Like
It
her outfit, her
does. Super
stance, like it's
detailed.
really
It's
cool.
cool.
Yeah, her
Um,
hair is done really well. Like there's a lot of detail to the hair.
yeah, it's a sick pop, and then so is the other one they announced was Share.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a diamond one, Amazon exclusive, where it's exactly the same pop, but I mean, she's
Yeah, they
worthy
do
of
that a
being
lot with the
diamondized,
female. Yeah, the female singers they do that a lot. I feel like a diamond version.
and this pop looks pretty cool. It looks like her. I really wish we got a Michael Jackson pop announced during this. We know it's
We
coming.
were it was supposed to be supposedly, and it keeps like
getting delayed and delayed.
rumoring or delay, whatever. So I guess we'll see when the hell we get that. But
But
yeah, it
yeah, I
would have been a
mean,
perfect time.
what did you think?
But they're cool. They look like both of them look just like them in real life. So it was a cool pop. Do they don't make a share one either, right?
I
Or
don't think
is
so. I think Cher was rumored to come out for like New York Comic Con or something,
okay.
and like just didn't come. Now they're like, okay, we're just
But this is
gonna.
cool. And it's like specifically the if I could turn back time. So it's like, a look
Yep.
for it for sure. But yeah, that's definitely a cool one. And then this week's anime drop because every week there's kind of been one anime that they picked. This is Boruto one. This is Minato Namikaze, which is now the fourth of a set. So this is another type of set, deluxe. So there's seven of them, and it seems like they're kind of like almost like a temple looking kind of thing. And
It looks pretty
but
cool.
I don't know if they get like if they actually connect like side to side or what, because the picture's a little deceiving to know like how these are gonna go. But it's cool because you got like the character at the bottom, then you have like what seems like maybe them in a different version of them or whatever, like up on the actual stone above them. So pretty cool. Nothing crazy. Not the best detail, I would say, for anime pops. They usually do a lot better. Like the stone looks like a cookie, to my opinion. but
It
but yeah,
does.
if you're a fan of this, like again, this is not one I know too much about. Um, but yeah, I've seen that they've been kind of dropping little different versions of these little by little. So there are three more left, and these are GameStop exclusives. So seven of these it says interconnecting collectible.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
Another. It's they clearly build a scene is coming to the anime world, and they're
Yeah.
riding it all the way there. The next one we got, which I'm super excited for, is a Marty McFly numbered soda, but the chase is trash. I'm sorry, like I have to say it. I don't want to be legitimately saying every chase is trash on like quote unquote what now I call like the original sodas or not common sodas. Is what I've deemed them. But like, come on, you could have had him in a different outfit, playing the guitar or something, but like legitimately just putting that hat on him. It's just like, come
Even if even if
on.
you took his like hoverboard skateboard that he's holding on
He
to
was
and
on
put it
it.
under his feet,
Yeah.
like it would have been cool. Because he's
Like,
holding it in both, but like at
or
least that would have been like
it's funny. You're right. Or what they could have done, which I probably then would have been like, okay, this is a sick chase. If the original, he's not
take it
holding the
out of the
hoverboard.
common.
Yeah, just take it
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It is odd because it makes you it like you get if you get the common, you're gonna be like, well, that was cool because he has a hoverboard and it's him. You don't need the hat. Like, yeah, he has a hat at some time, but like, you don't need it. And there was plenty, like you said, there's plenty of scenes or different outfits that he had that like you could have kind of went with. Um, but I can't complain in the sense of like I'm glad that we're getting one. Like
Yeah.
it's cool that we're getting a Marty one. Obviously, maybe we'll get more in the line. Hopefully, we'll see. Um, but it is interesting. And if you haven't noticed, like this one's a 15,000 piece.
They're
All
higher.
these ones that have been coming out are back going up to higher numbers. And remember, that was like old school ones for a while. They had like really high numbers. And then for a little bit, you had a lot of exclusive ones and like lower piece counts. And now we're getting back to these like higher. They haven't gone up to like 2025, which I know Marvel and the original waves would have like 20, twenty
Yeah.
five thousand piece ones, but still kind of high. Um,
It's
and
funny.
then the
One thing,
last,
real quick though,
okay,
one
okay.
thing I wish that they Funko would could start doing though is like when it comes to franchise sodas, I really wish they could just like cross over movies within the can. Like obviously we have three Back to the Futures, and it could have been a good opportunity to like use the chase from like another look of his from another movie. Like I wish they,
They
you
lose
know,
money with that because they're gonna come out with a Back to the Future 2 version and
it's just like, are
do
they
that.
though? I know. Yeah, you're no, you're not wrong. Like I
I mean,
even think
that's
about
what I feel like they sometimes do. But even with seasons on certain series, they just
yeah.
stick to one. They don't like cross. Yeah. It would
Speaking
be
of seasons
better, but
seasons
they're
of
not doing it.
shows, that's a
So
good segue to this next pop.
yes, absolutely. So this next one is the last one actually that was announced. And in my opinion, it's probably the best one is gonna be like a freaking grail. And this will be the first of these types of like moments that I will try to grab. And it is one of the
Awesome.
deluxe moments. So we've talked about this. They've not throughout this time, they've announced a few of these like moments. Obviously, the kind of beginning stage of this was like the holiday ones that they came out with like all at once. And then we got a couple other random ones. Like I know last week we talked about the Thor one. And now we're getting so it's specifically named Phase 3, which of course from the newest season of Stranger Things, which is season 4, right?
Yep.
And this is Dustin, Eddie, and then there's even Demobats that are in it, and they're like named it as well. This is number 5, so it's kind of continuing on with some of the other deluxe ones. I believe this is the first like show series though, right?
Yep.
It's not a movie.
Correct.
So because in the beginning I thought it was going to be movie scenes and based off of a movie like specific scene, but clearly they're going to be doing series as well, which is pretty awesome because it opens it up to a lot of other
Yes.
things. But this obviously the scene was like amazing with Dustin up on the roof and Eddie's jamming out and playing the
So
music.
cool.
And of course, that later became like the Eddie pop was a huge deal when Target came on. Obviously, we know that that craze and how that kind of just now doesn't make sense because that pop's being sold at like cheap
I
discount stores,
know,
which
which is
is so
insane.
weird. Um, but this thing is so sick, and I love Dustin's look. Like, do they make a pop of him like
That's what
that?
I'm happy you just said that. That's what I wanted to just bring up. No. And of all
Yeah,
the Dustin Pops that they make,
they just
even
do him with the
multiple in the last
hat
season,
like 100
yeah,
times. Like,
this is sick. Like, I don't know why we don't have a pop of him this way, but I love that this scene that's another thing that adds to this scene. Like the
yep.
Thor one, even though it's cool, there is a Thor pop where he looks like that. There's a Korg
Mhm.
one where these two,
Same
even
with Eddie.
Eddie,
Yep, the
the
same with
different
Eddie.
look.
Yeah, like we
It's
got
sick.
obviously the Demobat, but there's a bunch of them, and they're hanging. So I mean, this thing is sick. I can't even say anything else but that it's amazing. I've even had like people that aren't big pop collectors when I posted this like on my story, like just because they're Stranger Things fans or whatever, like, dude, that's amazing. Like that's like an awesome thing to have. Like it's gonna be a pretty big deal. But yeah, that was definitely probably my favorite of these announcements. Um, but it's a must have for sure. I'm sure you agree, right?
100% agree.
Yeah.
Must have. It's sick, and like the detail on these things, Funko's doing a really good job on this. And I also feel like it's going to be more lifelike looking when we actually see it, not just this like promo image.
Yeah. Which I do feel like that's happening a lot with these where I'm like, oh, they look a little too cartoony, but I think once we get the actual ones, that they're definitely gonna be, like you said, super detailed and like a straight out of a scene, which is awesome
Yeah,
because that's clearly what they're doing. Um, all right, so let's get just a few other little news things. I mean, there wasn't too much other stuff that like really,
yeah,
really dropped. I know we did want to talk about two things in particular. One, because we always talk about them, and it's obviously the NFTs. And another one was kind of just more like a Funko drop that came out on Funko Shop, but kind of a little bit of a controversy and what happened with that. I guess we could start with that. So the
yeah,
Darkwing Duck pop, there was an exclusive Darkwing Duck pop, which I think we spoke about it actually, like that it was going to be coming out type of thing. Um, but actually, what happened was that it came out as one of the eBay exclusive things. Obviously, Funko has like this partnership with eBay, and they drop pops up on eBay, which still to me is very weird that they do that, being what eBay is. And I went up on there. It had like a ridiculous shipping price. It was like $7 or something to ship this pop. And then the next day, Funko drops it on their own website as a Funko Shop exclusive, which they've been doing a lot anyways with like some of these exclusives that they shared with other people, including eBay. And through them, obviously the shipping is not the same. And there was a limit of you can get up to what, like 10 of
yeah.
these pops.
It's
So obviously
crazy.
you would get free shipping at that point. And it was just like weird. It was a really weird situation of like how they're handling this thing. The pod itself was obviously pretty cool, and there was a chase option of it with a different color. They also dropped like a T-shirt at the same time. But yeah, I don't know. Like, if you just quickly want to say what your thoughts were on this, I
Yeah,
just think it's like kind of weird.
I think the whole situation's weird. I do like the pop. I thought the T-shirt is sick. I loved Darkwing Duck, but I do think the whole eBay thing is just weird. Personally, I feel like if it's an if they with the partnership, if they made it eBay exclusives, they should just be eBay exclusives
Hmm.
in the store. But it's just weird how they have like the Funko storefront now on eBay with it's like an official storefront, but like they don't match the prices. Like if something's on sale on Funko, it's not on sale on eBay's version of it. So like why would you buy it from there? I just think the whole partnership is weird. When they announced it, I thought it was Funko's way of saying, "Hey, buy your Funkos secondhand from eBay, not
Yeah.
from Whatnot, not from Macari, et cetera, et cetera." But that's not what it is.
Yeah. It's
And
just weird.
it's just weird. It's just like all it's like, oh, if you want to get it first, you get it from eBay, then the next day you can get it from Funko. And like you said, the shipping's more. It's just yeah, it's weird. Definitely not a fan of it. And I'm curious how long that will last.
Yeah, that's true. After there's a lot of uproar on it, so I guess we'll see what to do with it. But we had an NFT announcement kind of out of nowhere because we weren't wondering, what was going to be next and what was going on. But we do have one that's going to be dropping on Valentine's Day, actually the
Yeah.
14th of February. So that'll be next week. If you guys are listening to this now, uh, and it is. I mean, it's technically. I don't think it's technically a series two because it's Nicktoons, right? Is it a little different than the first wave, which
It's
was
funny.
Nickelodeon?
You're not wrong. That is what they're calling it, but I do think they were calling it Series 2 too. So I don't
Okay. Okay. It's a
I
Nickelodeon drop again, so it is like
yeah.
essentially still a second
That was an
story.
interesting, like, I'm happy you noticed it. I thought that was interesting that they did that they called it Nicktoons. And
Yeah.
I'm curious if that's because there's gonna be other drops going forward that like everyone's saying like, "Where's SpongeBob? Why is SpongeBob not included into this?" SpongeBob's worthy of getting his own, and I wonder if that's why they're like, "Okay, we're not gonna call it Nickelodeon anymore. It's Nicktoons."
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all.
Basically, we've been saying it for like ever, where it's like if they're gonna keep doing Nickelodeon stuff, like SpongeBob obviously has to be coming out at some point. They already make SpongeBob Funko Pops and stuff. So like and SpongeBob the character and different characters would be perfect for NFT and car.
Awesome. Yeah.
Like it just makes sense. Like it's almost like perfect. And then we've also said that when it comes to WB stuff, that Harry Potter's the next thing that like needs to be there because that already exists in the Funko realm and like it would be, huge. But this one, of course, we're getting another wave of some stuff from Nickelodeon. Pretty cool. We got the redeemables were announced. We got Cynthia, we got Ed Bighead, we got a Winslow, Professor Membrane. We got the Rocco, which I think the Rocco is so awesome. And then the royalty, Freddie Funko's Reptar is like
So awesome.
so sick. Um, I wonder if this is going to be a pretty big line. I'm assuming
I
maybe.
think so, unfortunately.
Which will probably make it really hard to get that royalty. Uh, Overall, compared to the first wave of Nickelodeon like type ones that they came out with, I think they're kind of on par with each other because like I loved the Hey Arnold one, which was the one I ended up pulling, which was great. And like some of the other redeemables, I was kind of like not like obsessed with. And I think it's kind of the same with this. Like I really like the Rocco, and then the other four, I'm not like the super like I don't hate them, but I'm not like oh my god, I have to have that. Um, Personally, but that's just me. And I mean, I know I mean,
Yeah.
you bleed orange, so you got to kind of green and orange. You got to kind of,
Yeah.
you know.
It's funny. Besides the Freddy royalty from the first line, which
Mhm.
I still think is one of
Yeah,
the greatest Funko Pops
that
ever
was so
made,
awesome. Yeah.
I think this line is better. And my
Hmm.
reasoning for it is like this is like deep cut
Yeah.
Nickelodeon, like which I've spoken before in the past. Like that's one thing I fell in love with the NFT pops. I actually thought it was a little bit of a cop out that like, okay, in the first line, I was like, we got Chucky and we got Tommy from Rugrats, and
Yeah.
like,
Getting both was a little weak. Yeah,
and
I
in
agree.
like they're like like in this episode where they're like superheroes, like not that they're not cool, but like I like now that we're like Cynthia, for example, that is a sick pop to get from
Hmm.
Rugrats because you never would really think you'd get Angelica's doll in like
Yeah,
pop form. And then
and
like
the
even
hair
Mr.
is so cool.
Bighead, like that's like deep cut Rocco, like Winslow from Cat Dog, and it's not the main characters. Like I personally do love that about this line.
Yeah.
And the Freddy as Reptar is amazing, and like the Rocco one's amazing too. I find it interesting that's the Grail, um, but because we already have a Rocco Pop, it's interesting that they decide. It's like I almost feel like they feel like they need to, which that's where the Arnold one came into play. I think for the original line, even though Rugrats is obviously pretty well known, but it's like okay, we're putting a character on here that people will recognize if they know like old school Nickelodeon shows. Because the other characters, aside from maybe Cynthia, you could be like, who are these? I don't remember.
Yeah, I actually, when you said Winslow, I was like, oh, that is Winslow. Was I kind of didn't even think about
Yeah,
who that was. I'm surprised they don't have like a Ren and Stimpy or something.
yeah,
You
I
would
agree.
think
I
they're
wish
in the
we got.
background, which is funny. Like when you see like the background like border of the cards,
Oh, really? I didn't
you
notice that.
see you see
Oh,
one of
yep.
them. Yeah, interesting. But it's a cool line. We obviously love NFTs. Definitely going to be going after it. Um, it's another wave that's going to be pretty cool. The last wave, make sure if you guys didn't check out, definitely check out our videos of when we opened up some packs. I think Charlie opened up. We both opened up 4
Yep.
packs. Actually, we ended up opening up 4 premium packs. Both of us did pretty well, so definitely make sure to check it out. Streak is still going on for us, and Fully Redeemables. It has been a pretty awesome run. I don't go after every single set, but from when I've gone after them, they've been pretty
Yeah.
good to me. So excited for this one for sure. Then we'll get into our last little bit of news, which is more like Funko specific related stuff that's going on, not just drops. And we definitely did want to kind of put our input into this and what we think about what's going on. And would love to hear from you guys on this matter as well. I think overwhelmingly everyone's kind of on the same page, but we'll kind of give you our outlook on what we think is going on and what we think of it in general. But the main thing is obviously that Funko recently announced, and they already started doing it in their website, and everything has already changed. They have done another price increase, and this isn't the first one that we've had in a very recent amount of time.
Yeah.
We've probably have an episode at some point that we talked about the first time that they went with this, which is funny. If you go all the way back, you might see it or hear it. Um, but with everything that's going on, we know that everything is going up. Everything price wise has been raising with all the inflation, the crazy, stuff that's going on with the economy, whatever it is. Um, Funko kind of fell into that. They started raising prices because they were having issues with shipping and manufacturing. And then they opened up a new warehouse. And then we heard they weren't getting things over in time to ship and whatever it was. There was tons of different issues when it came to them specifically. But then now we got this like another wave of big price increases. And what's crazy is like it's a pretty hefty price now. Like something Charlie said something interesting, and I want you to talk to it, but it had to do with where Funko was when it came to pricing just 2 years ago. And this
Yeah.
isn't even a big amount of time. It was just 2 years ago. And Funko Pops were what price?
$8.99.
$8.99.
Let
And
that settle in.
was there a difference in exclusive price back then? Do you remember? Or was they all
I
the same?
I think there was, but here's
Like
an
eleven
interesting
ninety
thing.
nine or something?
A Funko shop, it's funny. It's why I would never buy commons from there, even though the horrors of Targets and Walmarts of the world. I think they were normally like $10 flat commons on
Okay.
um Funko.com, then maybe $12 for an exclusive. Like, don't quote me on the price, but
Mhm.
there's a much bigger
Yeah, Funko
discrepancy
always
in
had that
price.
like that hard number. Like it
Yeah,
was never a 99. It was never like it was always like a 10
correct.
or a 12, or it was very like yeah. Um and I've always thought that it was weird that other retailers could be so different. And the way I always thought, I mean, this is what I figured, is that whoever makes the thing, right? Whoever's the main source, which is Funko, has their price point. And then anyone else would either be the same or higher. That's how I would have thought of it. Like if Target wanted to bump the price up because Target wants to make more money, they would. But it's the opposite. The Targets of the world, the Amazons of the world, their price is lower than what Funko directly is selling these for. And every time they have had an increase, they kind of have either stayed or slowly increased, but not as high as what Funko has done. And it's like weird to me because that then just like makes you think like what like because these other companies, right? Obviously, like Targets and Amazons, they're huge. Amazon, obviously, enormous. They clearly aren't going to be selling these things if they're losing money. You would probably agree, right?
Yep.
So what are they paying for these items, right? That's what you got to start to think about.
Yep.
And if their price is low, they have to not be paying much for these items in order for them to get a profit, right? So then when you look at it that way, you now are going to look at it like the source, Funko,
It's taking advantage of it.
is with these prices.
Yes.
And
I've
like the more you
always
think
thought of
about it,
that.
yeah, the more you think about it, that starts to like really like make more sense. And I don't know. That's why I think that's why it looks bad or like it just doesn't like sit well with me or with a lot of people because it's not like toys in general, everything's going up. Funko price went up, so Target, it's not. It's only them, and that's where it's just like looks bad. But like, I
It
don't know.
looks no, not
What
only
do you
does it
think?
look bad, there's certain things they do that like even bother me more, especially as like a Funko loyalist. They've obviously pop will forever be their bread and butter. But we've talked about this before. Sodas are creepily, approaching almost like same level of popularity.
Yeah,
They know the average person who's a collector buys at least two. I mean, for all of you who aren't watching Miggs's videos, you should be on his Pop Mix channel. He always buys two. The fact that they've steadily increasing those, it's because they know they're guaranteed $30 most of the time.
no, yeah,
And now they have the audacity. This is what I want. This is the price increase that bothers me the most. Funko Shop exclusive sodas are $18. That's insane. They used to be what, 11.99. We're talking about the
yeah,
price increase. Not
yeah,
even within a year, it's changed.
yeah.
And now commons are 15. Commons and exclusives used to be the same price, which I thought was like I
Yeah,
always
they were
thought was kind
15.
of
They went from 12. It used to be 12. They went from
okay.
12 to
Yeah.
15. Like everything. Like they just went from
Yep.
12 to 15 as a race, as a full race. And now we're looking at 15 and 18. And the reason why I brought up the whole thing where it's like the secondary people, I always, it made more sense that they would be an increase is because we know smaller companies. We know,
Yep.
especially when it comes to sodas, we know a lot of companies that resell sodas. They're a small business. They put a little bit of a price increase on it, but it was understandable. Like if I was going to one of these sites, I was going to pay a little bit more. That was because that's just the way it was. I knew it wasn't a major retailer. I knew that they got to make money some way, and obviously, Funko's probably charging them an arm and a leg to get some of these items. I would think because they're not the big box place, right?
Yeah.
And they put a little bit of an increase. So some of these places have already had sodas at 16, 17, $18 because of that little bit of an increase. But now, like, like are they going to be are they going to be $20 now for some of these places?
Yeah.
Which is going to be like insane for one of these items that at one point you were able to get for 11, $12, whatever it was. Now, now you're like, are as many people going to be getting cases anymore? And all these, like,
I
someone like
think
me,
this is they've
I've slowly
screwed.
been not getting, yeah, I've slowly been not getting as many because I really can't just get one. Like it's just to me, I always have to try to get two, even if they end up both being commons, which obviously happens more often than not. But a lot of times I get the chase, and it makes up for the fact that I paid for two because the price of the chase is going to pay for that anyways. Um, but now I'm like, dude, do I even when they were at 15, when they went from 12 to 15, even that hurt because then I went from doing a simple cart of however much it would end up being to now being like, do I really want to drop $90 on six sodas? And there's three characters because I'm getting two of each. And I'm like, do I? Do I really love these ones? And or can I pass or can I wait or whatever? And it's like it sucks. But like you were saying something before we went on air before we started recording about how the price increase already started, right? Their
Yep.
website already has it. And they this is where they really want to just get you. Funko randomly will have these like clearance sales and sales on things. And some of these sodas were on sale because they clearly have been sitting around for a while. And I think their sale price was
Dude, they
what,
were like 50% off. Or no,
50%? Okay.
30% off, 30, but still.
They were probably what, like 9.99 or something, I would
Yeah,
think,
they
around
were
that
a good
price, 10
deal.
bucks,
They were a
whatever.
good deal.
Those now that were
Hmm.
exclusives or whatever are in that
Or at
$18
$18.
price.
So within a
Just
week, they've
out of
doubled
nowhere.
their price, which is insane. It's just like they're clearly just going to keep sitting there. And that's where it's just like, dude, what are you doing? And we joke around all the time, like, what is a Funko Shop exclusive? It's a Funko sticker that they cannot sell in bulk to Target and
Yeah.
Walmart and all those stores. That doesn't deserve a more expensive price, in my opinion.
I don't
I
understand.
think that's insane. And that's another thing I'm going to tell you, everyone here on this podcast, do not buy retail exclusive pops anymore from Funko.com. Like, I hate that I'm like trashing Funko because I'm too obsessed with them. They are so overpriced there because we're talking about the Targets of the world, the Walmarts, Amazons that aren't changing those prices. You can go get those same exact pops for so much cheaper on all those other sites ever since they
Mhm.
started doing their exclusive tab, which I have not been obviously a fan of. I've talked poorly about it before, and now it's just like that's ridiculous. I mean, they
Yeah.
were selling Walmart is legitimately trying to get rid of their stock in store of the Christmas pops. Oh, but you can go get them for $60 on Funko.com, but some lucky people in Midwest got them for $5 at Walmart.
Yeah.
That's insane. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. They have that exclusive deluxe things that was like 30 bucks and Amazon's at like 19.
Yeah.
Like that seem like right now. It's not like they're just like, but and it's crazy because I started realizing it. I remember the days back in the days when I would go on Funko and I would type because I would search it this way, vinyl soda, and it would bring up all the sodas. And I would see like one or two, and I'm like, oh, I have these, or that's cool. Or it would be like it was those surprise drops. So you
Yep.
would go on, and I'll go in the morning, I'd refresh, and then sometimes you get three, or you get four different characters or two different characters, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Then it would sell out. When they would drop one that was like announced, it would sell out, and it was all these things. Lately, there have been so many. Have you gone through
So
the soda thing? There's
so many.
so many on there now, whether they're exclusives or not. And it's been since this price increase the first time
Yep.
when they went up to 15. And now we're seeing some that are gonna be 18 as an exclusive. It's like crazy. So I don't know. What I want to know what everyone else thinks because we can't just be the only obviously we know we're not really
Yeah.
the only people that think like this, but it's sad because it's like it's making like it's definitely not making this fun anymore. It's making it more of like a obviously we knew at the end of the day, we know that this was an investment in the sense of like that we're
Yeah.
investing money into this, right? It's not cheap. Everything wasn't just free. But I used to I used to always say when people were like, "Oh, you collect all these pops, you have all these figures, like how much are those?" And I'd be like 10 bucks. Like I was like, you got a few here and there. And like, yeah, I have thousands of them now, but it wasn't like I bought them all in 3 days. That was
Yeah.
over years of time. So like I clearly would spend here and there 10, whatever. I can't even say that anymore. And like if someone's like, "Oh, I want to get a pop," like, yeah, you could buy a brand new one for $20 now. Like basically, that's like what you gotta say. It's like, do you think someone's gonna want to start collecting an
No.
item that
I'm so
base
happy you said
value,
that.
the base number is there, and obviously, these things are things that can have value, so you can go into it trying to resell it or have something that will build value. Yeah, but you still gotta start now shelling out even more money just to get going because everything has increased. And I don't want to sound like naive, like we don't know that everything isn't increasing, but I just don't like the way they're doing it and literally the way that other retailers are still selling their stuff for cheaper is really what kind of gets me, rubbing the wrong way. Not just that like Funko's increasing money because they need to because everything is more expensive. Like I think that's kind of like almost like a cop out. I mean, I might be wrong. Maybe people are gonna hate against what I'm saying when it comes to this, but like, am I
I,
wrong by saying that? Like,
you're not wrong, and I don't think they will. And it's the way they go about it. Like, you're right. Like, if Mattel decided one day, okay, we're sneakily gonna increase a Barbie doll by $1. Just $1. You know how many Barbies they sell a year? That is really gonna help the bottom line. And I'm okay with that.
Mhm.
But the fact that and like Funko, the unfortunate part of Funko at the end of the day is their fans, because it's crazy as we are and we love them and that's why they are where they are today. You can't get this by us. Like, do they really think they were going to just do a light switch on their computer and sodas were coming $18 and like people weren't going to notice? Like, that's their other problem. And like, it's too much of an increase. I know it's only $3, but like it's
Yeah.
the principle about
Yeah.
it. And it's not like they just like creeped it up. It's just like, I think the sodas hit really hard too, because we've been saying like the
Yeah.
increases of what within a year is insane.
Yeah.
And it's like you're saying, $36 every time a new soda comes out. They essentially cost $36 for the
They went up
average
50,
Funko
they
fan.
went up 50% in 1 year. They went from 12 to
Yeah,
$18. That's insane.
just it's just sad.
Yeah, it sucks. And then when you think about like the new collector, it sucks because it's not like and even when I started, it some of those 8.99s existed here and there, but I know when you started, that's what it really was. So
Yeah,
like even when I was starting, it was a bit of a bump, and I had to kind of
I
pay
think it's why I
10 to
fell in love with
12 dollars.
Funko.
Yeah, $10 to $12. But even that to me, I would tell you that's what it was one of the main things I would tell people. It's like, oh, these are cheap little like priced figures. They're not crazy. It's, it's not anything out of this world. You could totally attainable for a child or a grown up to buy one. And now it's like it's not. It's becoming more of this like harder exclusive thing to even just get a pop here and there. And then like what's even worse is that it's not like they're very becoming very niche and exclusive. They're flooding us with hundreds of different versions of these pops and these figures and these sodas, and multiple ones are dropping, and different new lines and things that we love in movies and shows, and waves like 20 in one wave. Do they expect everyone to like buy every single one of those like now? Like that's going to be even worse. Like they're going to just have more inventory sitting around and more stuff that they can't sell because there's no way that they're going to get as many people selling. There's no way that the amount of units they were putting out is going to be the same. Maybe their dollar will end up being around the same because they're more expensive, whatever it may be. But the unit, I don't think is. And that just means we're going to have more of, which we were going to talk about this too as well. It's kind of a good transition to it. But there was a report that the warehouse, so they have that new warehouse that they opened. I remember we talked about it, which is what Buckeye, Arizona, which is like right outside of Phoenix. They're having a Funko warehouse sale from the 9th to the 12th at this place. And it's like, what like, so is this just overstock of just random shit or like excess stuff? It's not going to be new. It's definitely just going to be this extra stuff, especially that it's like on sale,
Yep.
and it's coming now before these increases where I feel like they're going to have another one of these. And it's like,
It's
I don't know,
crazy.
man.
It's
It
insane
sucks
that
because I
like they're
freaking love like Funko, and I love these like and I love, but the way collecting was to what it is now is very different,
well, the
and it
one
sucks.
mistake they're making. Well, first I want to give my like 2 cents on the warehouse sale. It's like weird, like clothing stores do this all the time, and
Mhm.
I understand why they do it. It's
Yeah,
interesting that
seasonal
Funko
items,
is like has to do this now. I mean, it is a smart way for them to probably like make a buck on some things that,
some liquidate.
yeah, I mean, I get that, but it's crazy that we've come to this place. And then one thing that like I don't know why they haven't been able to like solve this problem yet. Funko is something, they're trying to become something else where I think there's a good medium. Like they're trying to definitely, I'm sure Brian is sitting there and being like, he thinks he can have it all. He can turn Funko into like the next
Hasbro.
Hasbro,
Hmm.
but Hasbro has found a way to make everyone happy. The mass produced toys, end collectors. Funko needs to figure out how to do that, and I think they're very well capable of it, but they haven't. Because I know a lot of collectors, and Migs, don't forget your thought if you want to say like,
No,
but
no, I just want to say like basically just in the sense of like, but Hasbro started that way.
yeah,
Funko didn't. Funko like started as like a collector. They
you're
didn't
right.
they really didn't start as a toy company if you think about it. Like yeah, there were toys, but it's not really where they were trying to like push. So it's like I don't know if they can do that. 'Cause now it's almost
100%,
like
you're
they're
right, they do.
restarting, right?
Yeah. Well,
Like it
I
can
feel
happen clearly, but I
I
don't think it's gonna be easy. And who
yeah,
knows
it's
if they're
not gonna be easy, but what they can do is like what they're doing with the sodas, like I know a lot of people are shitting on it, but like I don't mind it, is like they can have products in both worlds where like the common non-number ones are the mass produced ones, but then let's start getting the more niche characters. Let's bring them back to the lower piece counts like we used to have. That's like one thing they should start doing because then they'll become more rare. Collectors will love it. They need to start doing that again with pops. They need to start making more lower piece counts. They need to be true to that. Or it's like there was a time, and like everyone, our fans know, like I've collected Star Wars basically from the beginning. Like I had blue box ones. They came out with them, and when they were done. Even though they're common releases, and they may have been like I could find one here or there at Barnes and Noble, but there was a point where it was like, oh, because I really used to go to Barnes and Noble a lot. When Barnes and Noble no longer had that Wave One Star Wars, they weren't getting them back. I wish Funko could try to make a
I
pop
mean
line like that again.
it goes back to our restocking episode.
It does, and like, which if you haven't listened to that, you should go check that out. But
Yeah.
they need to find a way where they can have all of their popular products and do both. I personally feel like there's a world where they can do that, but I don't think they want to do it because they think their fan is not as smart as they are, which I find crazy. That's a huge problem with them, which I'm shocked about. Like I
Yeah.
feel like they're probably sitting there being like, everyone's gonna love it. There's something for everyone. This is amazing. And like it is amazing, but they're not going about it in the right way.
No. And there's like a lot of big influencer type massive pages on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, that all feel the same way. Like it's not, like it's
Yeah.
pretty obvious when you're like one of us who are, connected to that world that like they're not like just like, oh great, Funko's just making everything, we're just gonna go crazy. Like they are now the next huge like, company. And that's why like I always thought when people would bring up the whole like, oh, Funko's just the Beanie Babies, they're gonna be another Beanie Babies, and like to me that never made sense because like they're just like, I guess if they tried to stay in like their niche lane fully and like got too specific, maybe they would have went there. But they were just so broad, so big, and they are on the borderline massive toy company type that I knew that was never going to be the case. Like when it
And
came
I
to like
agree
what
with
what
you.
Beanie Babies was, um, but at the same time, I feel like you said, I feel like they don't want to be like, I feel like they like want to be, but don't want to be a Hasbro, and it's interesting because like I don't know if I would rather them be like that or not because does take away from the whole like, you know, exclusivity of like being a collector of like stuff. Like I guess like to me, I'd rather be a collector of something like this than like a collector of like Barbie dolls, for instance, that they make millions of because there's just so many of them and like anyone can
Yeah.
get them at any time that it's like, okay, cool. I just happen to buy them, even though anybody else can buy them. Where Funko was always something that was like, even if it wasn't numbered, it just felt more exclusive and
I
it
agree.
felt more like I like that you couldn't go to any store and find it, but now you kind of almost can because they are being sold in like weird
Yeah.
freaking Burlington Coat Factory was holding would had like would you ever have thought that you would find something like that there? Like no,
No.
like ever. And it's like they kind of are trying to get to that, but it's just done the like you said, it's just done the wrong way. And again, I think it's because it wasn't like it was started that way. It was started by someone who was truly a collector, had a lot of nostalgic stuff to that he liked or they liked, when they started really doing it together, and decided to be like, let's make some of these cool figures and these cool characters into figures that will be cool for people to get. We'll make some exclusive, we'll do some here and there, and it started off really cool. And yeah, obviously it was a small company, it was going to start that way, but it stayed that way for a while.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it was like it's surprising now that when you're seeing where they're going or what they're trying to do, or who freaking
I think
knows.
they got too big for the bridges like in a random time. And like
But
sometimes like it
the pandemic is the biggest thing.
I know
And
which
it's in a
yeah.
weird way. Like they got hit with the pandemic, kind of like how a Zoom company got hit with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Somebody that had nothing and boom, everyone needed this, wanted this, and then it just blew up kind of a thing, right?
Which it is, which is crazy to me because I was a Funko collector before, and like it does blow my mind when I see some of these huge like TikTokers who's like, I didn't start collecting until the pandemic. But
Yeah,
how
that's when I
huge they
started.
are, they make you it's crazy though to me. I feel like like I guess it's the
Well,
pandemic
no,
because
no, that's not when I started. I started before. I started doing YouTube
yeah, you started doing
and doing
YouTube, but
unboxing, but I had some pops, not massives, but
yes, and
I had some.
obviously at this point now it's been a while since 2020 when this all started, but I am shocked to see how many quote unquote, I know you started your channel during that time, but like you said, you collected before. There are
Mhm,
people who are like, during the pandemic, they started to collect Funko Pops and they're like, let's make a channel. And some of them
mhm,
are massive people. It's just like, you can't think of like TikTok like creators that do Funko and not think of them and be like, wow, you just started collecting during the pandemic.
mhm.
I was a little naive to that, I think, to how many people were like, I'm gonna start like I saw the boom happen with like sports and Pokemon cards because
Yeah,
in
no,
my
it was
mind
all the
it's
same
all the
bucket.
same stuff, and I
Yeah.
just never put Funko in that category because I was still collecting like
Mhm.
Funko throughout it all. But that's their problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a different type of problem where companies were going down and not doing things because of the pandemic. They were one of the companies that
Yeah.
blew up. And like you said, it probably happened way too fast. Like they were gonna probably eventually continue to grow because
Yep.
they clearly were growing, but it just like happened so fast. And then they felt like, okay, now we have this massive amount of an audience. Now we need to like fulfill them. Let's do this, let's do that, let's do this, let's do that. And now that things are going the other way, like they're kind of like
Yep.
not, and then they're dealing with a lot of changes and leadership and all that kind of stuff. It's all happening at the same, I think at the wrong time. It's like a perfect mess all happening at the same time. But we talk about
Sad.
these people every goddamn week, every day. Actually, we
Yeah.
amongst each other talk about them, but they will continue to be somebody we'll talk about. But like I do want to end it here because I don't want to go too much on a rant and get like,
Yep.
shadow banned by Funko or anything. But we
Because we
we
love
love
Funko. It's
we
just
do love
we're
Funko.
very passionate about it. It's just upsetting because yeah, we love Funko, like, and we will
We do.
continue to love Funko. Like Mick says, we talk about Funko 24/7. I think we're so obsessive with it. That's why these things like hurt. We're so into it. And it's just like, oh man, like I don't one thing you brought up, which is like, and I'm curious what your opinion is. I've always been a hater against you. The amount of people that know me that have said, oh, Funkos are just going to become beanie babies drives me insane. I just want to slap them in the face. And I don't think that will ever happen. But do you think that we are in the golden age of Funko and it's peaked in like, let's say in 10 years' time? I'll just use that as like, is Funko still what we like Funko today, or is it like in trouble? Like I look at
I
people
don't
who make investments in Funko, like I it's been very
as a
known. We
company,
collect
like
to
as a company,
collect.
yeah, like as a company like that, I think it's hit its peak. I think it's already hit its peak.
Yeah.
I think we're on the like the tail side now. And not that it's gonna just drop off a cliff and not exist in a couple years, but I just don't know if it can get back to that mid to late pandemic rage and even the year after, they were pretty good and consistent with what they were doing. And we were getting cool new products and we were getting new announcements. And like, yeah, we were getting a lot of stuff, but it was done right, here and there. You picked and choose what you wanted and didn't feel too overwhelmed. And I really think that this pricing thing is going to be a huge, huge hit to them. Like, I just think that because it's like almost backwards in the sense of like most people are like losing money or not being able to make as much money, right? And then they have to spend on a lot of necessities that are getting more expensive, like gas and oil and wood and all this
Eggs.
shit that you need, eggs and freaking milk. That's what you need. And that's already expensive. And people are struggling financially and stuff. So when it's like a hobby or a thing that's not, and that's getting more expensive, a lot more people are going to have more willpower and they're going to completely cut it off. We probably won't be. We'll probably slowly
Yeah.
not get as much and whatever, but that's still saying something. And I just don't think that's going to be a benefit to the company long term until maybe the economy switches back up and things are going back the other way. And can they climb back up and get people back into collecting? Yeah, of course, they're still going to be around. There's still kids. There's still people that love doing this. I just don't know if I can say it's going to be the same. I don't know.
No, I mean, I guess I kind of do agree with you, and it hurts me to say, but and even with the price increases, when you're a company, man, the moment you increase the price in something, it's not like, okay, economy's booming, we're doing great again. Oh, that $18 soda that you've been buying for a year, let's bring it back down to 15. They're just not gonna do that.
No. Yeah, they're
Like
not going to do that.
that's like the other thing that just hurts about this. Like what like
Yeah.
they're doing this decision now because they think they need to, but then it's just gonna become that is what it is. That's just the other thing that stinks about it.
Yeah.
But we will see. Everyone, let us know in the comments what your opinion is. Like we said, we all still love Funko. We're never not gonna love Funko, but no one's perfect, and we hope they rise above this. But it just we're tired of hearing all the negative stuff coming out of Funko. It's like they're not having a good, you know,
Start to the
round.
year,
Yeah, they're just that's the
quarter
best
one.
way of saying it. Yeah, they're not having a good start to the year. Even if a lot of it's just chatter on the internet, it's like you don't want your loyalists to be saying like these types of things. We
Yeah,
joke around all the
completely.
time. There's things we don't like, but I feel like this is like the first podcast where we've had where it's like we are just a little disappointed.
Yeah, definitely agree. But would love to hear everyone else's input. Definitely make sure that you comment down below if you're listening on the podcast. Thank you guys for listening, and hopefully you stuck around this entire time. But make sure to head over to the YouTube one because we want to hear you. Let us know your thoughts, what you guys think, and obviously, we're going to continue to collect. We're just going to continue to talk about it. We're going to see what happens next. Hopefully, it's only going up from here. I mean, can't I mean, I don't know. We get it's like a weird situation because it's like I almost like don't want to believe that
Yeah.
like I like it's getting to where it is, and it's almost kind of like shit. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. But that'll be it. So Charlie, you can let everybody know, obviously, where to follow us, etc. Please make sure that you do support. We really appreciate all of your support, and everyone has been supporting from the beginning, and even the new people. Appreciate all of you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you. So, obviously on the podcast platforms, you can find us wherever you listen to your podcast. When you get there, please make sure you're following us so you know when the new episodes come out. And on Spotify, like I can't say enough. We really want you to come over to the YouTube channel, but if you're just a podcast listener and you do listen on Spotify, you can interact with us there by
Mhm.
answering our polls and the questions. But then when you come over to the YouTube channel, please, if you haven't already, we would love if you could subscribe to our channel. We hope at this point we've gained that subscription from you. And when you get there, just please like our videos, comment. Unfortunately, those things need to happen for more people to find collector chatter. It'd be great if you can share it with all your family and friends, but please like and comment. And then also hit that notification bell so you know when new episodes, new shorts, new NFT videos, et cetera, are coming out. Like I said, we're really hitting the shorts hard this year. Thought it was a new outlet that we really, want to show. Like I've been doing a lot of like soda videos because like this
Mhm.
is my channel. I don't have like the Pop Migs version of quote unquote collector Charlie. So I do like to drop a lot of stuff on there. So like I said, please check out those shorts. And then also follow us over on Instagram at Collector Chatter. And then we both have our individual collector accounts as well. They're both under us if you're watching on YouTube, but if you're listening to the podcast, it's at pop_Migs and at collector_Charlie. So with that being said, thank you so much for all of your support. Keep collecting though, guys. Funko's awesome. And until the next one, later.
Thank you. Take it easy, everyone.